Java-less advantage here is what we're all really excited about. We have a new way of showing alarms, which will show you the ability to take notes, mark them as seen live in a really intuitive real-time sensor dashboard as well. Good news is 12-minute countdown timer resets with any kind of web interaction. So if you're used to the existing legacy cycle manager platform that's Java-based, you'd have to opt into resetting the timer. So it's a little bit more user-friendly. We have a runtime row builder, which will show you with building a basic program for any of these products. We have a new cycle and soak adjustment like we had discussed, which we'll review in a little bit greater detail here in a moment. Virtual control is embedded in Cycle Manager Plus. So when you log on, you'll see a little bit different of a view, but we'll make sure to show you what that looks like. The good news is the Cycle Manager, as you're getting used to this new view, Cycle Manager Plus, the Java-based platform will still be at your disposal even when you log in. So it's not like that will go away completely here in the medium term. And we also have an automatic saving. So it's a little bit more user-friendly with that feature. That doesn't mean we're overriding the sync capability of the controllers. It just means as you're doing your work, you'll see it being automatically saved. Okay, so to drill into the cycle and soak adjustment, it is an enhanced feature in programming. It's been in existence in the existing control platform. We'll show you how the changes affect your controller, but for anyone that's not familiar with the cycle and soak feature, whether it's built on this new web platform, Cycle Manager Plus, or it's added at the controller, you still have to enable this feature in the advanced menu under Feature Manager to enable the cycle and soak time. So cycle and soak built on the controller, the soak time is automatically established based on the parameters you set. So you'll set your start time, you'll already set your station run time, you'll indicate the cycle number, and the end time will be established as well. So based on the end time you set, you will have a soak or you won't with the number of cycles. Extending the end time will extend the soak time, but you cannot customize that soak time. So we've had some feedback that that's not as user-friendly. We've made enhancements, and the cycle and soak feature built on Cycle Manager Plus will demonstrate for you. You still set the start time and the runtime for the stations, but now you can select the actual soak time. So the runtime, the total end time, I believe, pardon me, the end time is modified. So the difference between old and new, they're both still live on the controller. The cycle and soak built on the controller, you establish the end time, and the soak times kind of split the difference between the runtime you set and the number of cycles. Whereas in the new capability, you have the ability to actually establish that soak time, the break that you want within the program. You have the runtime set, the number of cycles, and so the total runtime is then extended, or the end time of the program. And then some important indications for where you will use Cycle Manager. In this first release of Cycle Manager Plus, you still will use the Java-based web for some what we call system setup. So some of the main ways you will use the existing Java platform really relates to ET and weather station setup. You will still get ET-based alarms and review ET data within the new Cycle Manager Plus, but to set those parameters up, that will be done on the old platform for now. Device report monitoring to set that parameter up, that's done on the existing platform, and the flow capacity system limit set. So establishing that manual flow capacity system that you can benchmark alarms based off that is still set at the old platform. So let's go right into how you'd navigate on Wednesday. So if everyone can see my screen here. Zach and Warren, are you able to see the new menu here?
Yep.
Okay, great. Let me make sure I have that up.
We're back to your presentation.
Okay, and you can see the menu now?
Yep.
Okay, great. So you've likely been logging into this existing site, the 2core.mysrc.online. That will not change. On Wednesday, you will use your same credentials you've been using to log into your existing web platforms, but the device list will change. So we'll show you that change. Once you get used to it, it should be pretty intuitive. So we've logged on to the new web view, and you'll see a couple changes here. So no virtual control is shown. That's actually embedded in the Cycle Manager Plus platform. So we will show you a note of that and where to get it. It's all embedded in one. Essentially, you should have it all in one icon here. And then the existing Java-based platform, that legacy Cycle Manager, that's over on the right. So that's the main key change. View here looks a little bit similar to Mobile Manager if you have those credentials, and I'll remind you that Mobile Manager will release a series of help videos for Mobile Manager. It's the new web platform, only with limited functionality, really designed for field use, provides some security for you if you don't want program changes or fundamentals affected in the controller, and it would look similar to this. So if I'm looking to navigate to Cycle Manager Plus, I would select any of these icons. I have a variety of my controllers here. I'll first call out the settings window here where we can set different settings for the controller. So these are overall web interface settings. I can enable or disable this advanced station edit. That really relates to saving parameters relating to ET. You can use it as a database, but it won't affect the irrigation in the new web platform yet. Obviously that is coming, but we want to release version 1, garner feedback, and then release the version with ET. You can opt to use the 12-hour clock, which is generally more standard, so we would ask you to opt into that. And then you have a variety of different languages that you can convert the entire web to. We'll highlight Spanish, but English is the native. So let's navigate to Cycle Manager Plus. We are going to, I think, use the RKS Plus just to show you, but this will be more or less the same outside of what you'd see for 2-wire alarm status for the LTD and the RKD Plus, our decoder-based platforms here. So first, when I look at this web platform, I notice that it is a responsive, what's called a responsive website. So it can adjust to whatever interface you have. If you're using a tablet, whether it's an Apple or Android-based phone, or a small laptop or large desktop computer. So if you have a hard time seeing an item, you might need to just adjust the window, and more will show. So as I see here, on I navigate, we can just go through the basic menu. If you miss anything or there's something I skip over, we will be releasing a series of instructional videos that go over in detail every widget you see here. We just want to give you the highlights to get you started for tomorrow. If we go to the left here, now I see my virtual controller. Remember, this is a real-time image. My RKS Plus controller I have here in our headquarters. So if I manipulate the dial, it'll actually do it in real time in front of the controller, clicking in a series of buttons and pages here, the LED dial moves. So there are some advantages to using virtual control. First of all, you don't have to go to the specific controller, which is always great. There are some parameters that need to be set at the controller itself. So virtual control you would need to use, just like with the Java-based platform, some enhancements needed to be made only on the controller itself. And then it's also great to use as a field tool. Many of you are already familiar with virtual controls, so I will not go into it in too great a detail, but we will provide videos in the event you have questions about how to navigate the virtual controller. Okay, if we're going across the menu here at the top, I see the alarm bell. This number indicates the amount of active alarms you have, whether you've seen them or you haven't. You have the ability to mark alarms as fixed, seen, take notes, and we'll review that here in a second. Here's our sync manager. It's a little bit more of a graphic display. We'll release this in a video, basically on how to sync if you're not already familiar, but the not synced image and icon is displayed here, and then synced is here. So it looks like I do not have some station parameters synced, and I could opt to sync it now. Once again, all changes made on the web, for any of those of you that aren't familiar, any change on the web is saved automatically now in the web Cycle Manager Plus, but it's not automatically overriding what's on the physical controller, and vice versa. So there's a couple advantages to this, we believe, including the ability to override mistakes made, to prevent vandalism, and also to not disrupt existing irrigation, but allow you to make changes and to let the controller run as a standalone controller outside of the web if any problem goes wrong there. So that's our sync manager. We show it's not synced. So there are some changes that have been made that have not either been sent to the controller, or changes made on the controller that will not be displayed on the web. Okay. Here's our countdown timer. If you hover over some of these icons, it'll show you a nice detail of what, a little bit of detail as to what each icon represents. Good news here with this 12-minute countdown timer, we have this natively in the web, and we have this in the Java-based platform for the reason that only one user can access a specific controller at the time. That's native in the design. If two people are on the same controller and making changes simultaneously, then it would confuse the system. The good news is originally this 12-minute countdown timer on the Java-based web, always you had to opt in to extend it. Now with any change I make, if I'm clicking here and using, you notice the countdown timer automatically resets. So as long as you're using the platform, it shouldn't log you out after 12 minutes. And that's honestly a big enhancement for us here using the platform, and we hope you find as well. I'll call to note here the color in the controller, this color icon or the color menu bar here. It actually indicates different statuses of the controller. So if everything is all steady with your controller, the controller is in automatic mode, meaning the programs will run as designed, you'll see a nice green header here without any alarms. If we see a gray header, that means the controller is in a mode outside of automatic, meaning the programs will not run automatically as designed. It can be passive mode, it can be in a manual mode, it can be in an advanced mode. Any of the modes that you'd find on the main center dial are not in auto. So that's just our way of saying, hey, did you intend for your controller not to be in auto, as your programs won't run? And then we notice this orange color here. Yellow, orange, or red indicates that there are active alarms in varying degrees of severity. So yellow indicating there's an alarm, but it likely won't affect your irrigation. Red meaning you have a short circuit alarm or another drastic alarm, like a flow-based alarm that should substantially affect your irrigation. You need to view it. So if we are seeing the menu bar here, the final elements of the menu bar as such, we see the active date and time as it relates to the controller, not specifically your time zone. So if you know that this date and time is off, that's what the controller sees. So that needs to be adjusted in virtual control. Finally, I'll show you this main menu widget we have over here, this dashboard. If you're familiar with mobile managers, very similar. So their integrated platforms make it easy for setup, training, one and the same. If you have been using Mobile Manager, everything at Mobile Manager's disposal to you and more is available in Cycle Manager Plus. So it's up to you how you'd like to allocate that. Many of our customers have been providing Mobile Manager maybe to HOA users that don't really want to affect program changes, but they do want to put the controller in rain shutdown if they notice it's irrigating it and during a rain event. Or they'd like to view alarms and take notes. Mobile Manager's optimal for that, or for field crews that you'd like to do something like a station survey or view flow parameters. So if we're looking at this main dashboard widget, and we will provide different videos that we've created on our YouTube channel, these should be posted here in the next 48 hours. We'll review these in a little bit of detail, and then review the wheel widget, which is how you can go about your controller changes. Our range shutdown button is right here. Pretty self-explanatory. You have the ability to auto range shutdown automatically to cease all irrigation for custom amount of days or hours. You can start it, opt to clear it, and then actually stop the range shutdown. Station survey is how we'd recommend, Station survey is how we'd recommend doing a wet check, and that timeout connection you can just undo with checking the device list and logging back in. So here we have my station survey. I have a list of my stations. If I compress the window, it looks a little different, maybe how it would look on a mobile phone, and I'll just extend this. So with the station survey, if you select any of your stations, we'll automatically start and will run in perpetuity for 999 minutes. To stop the station, you can automatically stop it here by hitting the stop button, or I can click another station that will stop my station 37. I will start then my station 14 automatically. This is a really convenient way to do a wet check, to check stations that you do not have to run sequentially. If I had a flow sensor enabled in my RKS Plus, which we recommend at a minimum, any smart controller to have a flow sensor, I would see my actual real-time flow compared to my expected flow per station. If anybody'd like to learn more about learning flow on their controller to set up flow-based alarms, we will always provide that information, and we'll have future webinars. I would see my voltage and my milliamps. Obviously, very relevant for my two-wire controllers, but also relevant here for the RKS Plus, just to know that voltage and current are kicking on here. And I have the ability to then stop here. If I didn't want to click and I was done with my day, I would just hit stop. So we notice here graphically, a brown station is not irrigating. When I hit start here, the blue outlined indicates it is now running, and in the station window, it will indicate as blue. I can also then sequentially, quickly toggle through stations just by hitting the forward and back arrows here. So it paused station 14. It is now automatically starting station 15. If I walk away from this station survey, this 15 will continue running essentially forever. So we definitely want to pause that before we're done with our station survey. And we are good to go. So to navigate out of any menu, I can click on the main wheel, or I can click on the menu button. So to bring me back to this main dashboard, we walked through station survey, range shutdown quickly here. I'll see all of my alarms. We have a station error, missing ET, cycle interrupted. Let's go to our missing ET alarm. I can see it started and ended. That's weird. I wonder what happened. I can take a note for someone else to look and add this message. So somebody that has mobile manager, but not the full cycle manager plus the ability to edit programs, edit stations and beyond, will still see this note. So it's a good interactive way to talk with your field crew and have them address some alarms in the field within the program. I can also mark this alarm as seen. So if you'd like other water managers or anybody else that has access to this controller to see that it's an alarm that's actually been seen, but it is still a live alarm, then you would hit the seen button. The fixed icon, as you see here, we're saving, indicates that the alarm is cleared. So you will see this number of alarms has been reduced. The number of active alarms is reduced by 1, and in the controller, you will not see the active alarm anymore. To go to see historical alarms, it'll still be valid in your history section here, but it is cleared from this alerts in this widget. So it's a good way if you know that it was just a fluke alarm, or somebody maybe tapped in the auxiliary terminal to test the alarm and you'd like it to clear, that's a good way to do it. Our flow widget here, obviously you have to have a flow meter connected to the controller. At any of our RK controllers, it is a direct connect. It's not a sensor decoder based platform. So you would directly connect a flow sensor to the auxiliary terminals. Real-time flow, you would see here, out of your capacity, your system capacity, like we said, is set still on the Java-based platform. We can review at any point how to do that. And then your expected flow is based on what you've learned. So a learned flow program you can always review, but you can learn that flow at the peak of your system by running a test or learned flow program. The controller uses that as a benchmark to base alarms off of as well. We see now here in the station widget, if I wanted to manually start and stop a station outside of the dashboard, it would take me right here. I can also see what's actually running. So if I were to start a program, it would show me my live programs and the stations that were in that program. And we'll review that in a little bit here. If I then go to the program section, it allows me to start, stop, and edit a program here. So it'll take me right to the widget. So lots of different ways to get to the main fundamentals of what you need in Cycle Manager Plus. Electrical reviewed in station survey feature, but you'll see your voltage and your current. We don't have anything live here, so we're not seeing a live voltage and current for our controller. Moisture sensors. Remember that in any of these systems, you can add up to 10 moisture sensors, whether it's the flat blade paddle or the profile weight probe. You have the ability to add them up to 10 to any of these controllers with the moisture board that we have to add. And then you would notice here different color indications. We have no moisture sensors here connected. We will have a video that reviews the moisture sensor widget for those of you that do have moisture sensors connected to the RKS Plus. But there's a different color coding mechanism here, and it's a really great snapshot for those of you that are using the moisture sensors to see what they're doing and how they fit within alarm limits that you set. Remember, you can set moisture-based alarms in this controller as well. Great way to quickly turn the controller in different modes. Like we talked about, setting the controller in different modes. Since I have my alarms here, we still see the orange header, but if I had the controller in any other mode besides automatic and without any alarms, I would see a gray header. Here we have our irrigation off and still 2 live alarms. And this way you can quickly, in the event you forgot to put the controller in auto, you have the ability to do that here right down in the widget. This is something that was available in the Cycle Manager Plus or the Cycle Legacy Java-based Cycle Manager, and we've continued that. Last thing that you might have found with the Mobile Manager area, and now we continue on with this main widget here. You have the ability to sort this view. So if moisture is not important to you, but to have a quick way to put the controller in auto is the ability to sort that and stop sorting. Just please note that this is saved per controller, so this is not user specific. So if you have 10 different users, know that they would see this same sort of view. All right, so basic navigation in the wheel menu. Like I said, we will have plenty of time to review questions here at the end. Won't take too long to review the rest. If we go down here in the bottom widget, I will mention the logout screen going back to the device list is right here. So to get back to our main controller menu would be here, and to log out of the whole system would be here. Go back to our RKS Plus. And to review the basic wheel menu where you have pretty much everything you are going to navigate through your day, we will review in the sky, as we call it, is our ET and weather-based features. This is, we'll release in version 2 once we've released Cycle Manager Plus to all of our customers and garnered feedback. We're looking to the future here with our programs here on the right-hand side. So your program widget will be here. Down in the earth, what we have that's grounded would be our stations and sensors. So how you can edit runtimes here for stations and check sensors. And then we'll look back with our history section to view historical alarms. What kind of water consumption did we use daily, monthly, and year over year? And then a range shutdown section here. If you just want a quick way to perform range shutdown, you can do it here. So let's go in our stations and sensor section. Here we can scroll through and see, once again, with all of our platforms, even the LTD, you have 100 stations possible. The LTD decoder-based controller, note that it's a 50 station native controller, but you have the ability to add via digital license key code more functionality. Here I see my stations. If I had learned flow, we would see that learned flow number here in gallons per minute. I also see a little reading here. That's manually set, the precip rate. It won't affect irrigation like we talked about. That's all done in Cycle Manager at that time, but you have the ability to just show it if you wanted to use Cycle Manager Plus as a database for those types of functions. So if I wanted to start running, let's say station 4, I have the ability to do it in this menu as well. Hit 1 minute and start. So station 4 will start running. Once again, the communication happens to our servers, then back down to the controller in here. So you will notice a little lag. The controller will represent these changes a little bit faster than you do on the web. We've noticed it's been manually started. We now know, in the same widget, the station is running. So there's a couple ways to see what's going on live in your controller. If I wanted to edit one of these stations, we'll wait a little bit to load. We can change the station numbers here, and it is a Cycle Manager Plus base change. Won't reflect in the controller itself. And then we do have the ability to add a description, a brief description. Warren or Zach, do you remember the character limit for this description? I don't off the top of my head, but that will be in the video if you can remember. And then notice here, as I'm making changes to the fundamentals of the controller, whether it's station or whether it's program change, let's say if I change this to 3. All I have to do is click. I see that it is saving, and then the saving is completed over there on the right-hand side. So no need to hit a manual save button. The only thing you need to remember is it's not going to override what's at the controller. So you still need to sync those changes. You can manually set expected flow. And then the basic landscape and sprinkler parameters. These are ET-based parameters. You can set these just to save them as a database, but all of the enhancements and all of the changes are completed in Cycle Manager for now. This will change, but this is just what we have here for the time being. And I will also note that there could be a station advanced section. I've opted to disable that here in my settings. That's just more ET-based parameters. Let's move now to the future with our program section. So with any of our arcade controllers, we have up to 10 programs. The stations then run sequentially within a program, one at a time. We have the ability to add up to 12 start times within each program as well. I notice here, just as a view in a dashboard, I notice that some of my edits here are grayed out. This must mean that my programs are set as a weather-based program, and for our version 1, we will not have you make any changes or enhancements to weather-based programs. That's all done in Cycle Manager. So that's our way around of you inadvertently overriding a change made. If you'd like to make changes here, maybe you want to opt that it's not a weather-based program, just change it in Cycle Manager, Java-based platform, back to a water budget-based program, and you'd be able to make your changes. So here I notice programs, I have the ability to edit them in Mobile Manager. You'd also notice that these are grayed out because you do not have the ability to edit changes on your programs. That's another reason. And like we see here, the menu comes up, or little information bars come up when you hover over the edit. So let's manually start this program. When we manually start a program with any of the arcade controllers, it sets You automatically override the start time, you use the runtime and the station count. So if I click down on any of these indicators, I see what station is running, if there's any cycles, what the status is, and what the station is. So I see station 3 is running. I'm going to pause it here. Let's edit, while this pauses, let's edit another station. And what we noticed here as well, green means it's ready to edit. Blue means it's an actual station that's live. So that blue indicator, whether it's a station or a program, will always show if the program or station is actively running. Let's edit program 3. The menu navigates you through anything you need to build a program, and we hope that it is pretty intuitive. There are some key changes which we will review. One of those changes is the change to the cycle and soak feature if you've been utilizing it. Program name, we have the ability to change this name. It will not override what's in the controller. So just note that this is just for Cycle Manager Plus use only. Set runtimes here. So I have the ability now to set runtimes. The only thing we will show you that's a little bit different is the ability to add what we're calling runtime rows. So this controller still only has the ability to run sequentially, and the controller runs a station at a time. But if you know you have many stations that all have the same runtime, instead of you having to individually add it per station, you actually can just add them all to a runtime. So I see that these have already been in this program. If I wanted to add station 7 to that runtime row, I know it's going to have a runtime of 1 minute. I can add that. You can also sort by expected flow. So if you're planning based on system capacity, you only have, let's say, 1,000 gallons to work with. You can sort and have the stations with the highest water usage come first, so you can build a program that way. I'm going to hit save and return. That's one of the only menus where you have to opt in and save. And now I know that now I see my station has been added, station 7. So this program will still run sequentially. I'll have what we changed here from front drip. It's station 1, so it'll run 1, 3, then it'll run 3 again, 4, 7, and 11. Let's set our start times in this menu. So the main change, like we talked about, to building programs outside of our runtime row is the start time section with our ability to add, customize our cycle and soak. So once again, we caution starting any controller at right around noon or right at midnight. So let's adjust that, say it's 12:03 to be safe. The runtime we already set with our stations that we added to this program. I'd like to add 2 cycles, and I'd like each soak time to be 10 minutes. I'm going to create. So with an 18-minute soak time, an 18-minute runtime, starting here at 12:03, I have 2 cycles. Each soak time will be 10 minutes. Total irrigation time is here, total runtime is here. So what you're doing now is actually setting the soak time, and the program will tell you the end time based on what you've built. We think it's a little bit more intuitive and easier to build a cycle and soak in this way. If you like the existing way with cycle and soak, we actually have program 5, I believe, here built. Was it program 5, Warren, or program 4? Oh, here we are. So we've built a cycle and soak program in the controller, and this is how it migrated over. So it's easy to see. With the program we built, one of the start times here, we actually had 5 cycles. We selected the actual runtime for each cycle as 10 minutes. So 50 minutes of irrigation time. We set the end time in the controller as 150. So there's no time for soaking if you have 5 cycles with a 10-minute runtime each, and the end time of 150. So once again, the new change here in Cycle Manager Plus, you're not going to set the end time. The way you build the program sets it for you. And finally, with parameters in the program section, we have the 14-day calendar, We can select odd or even as well, and the ability to add booster pumps and select our water budget, tier it up and down from 0 to 250%. I make a change, I see it saved and complete. All of these days have been selected. If I'd like to opt out, you see it's saving and completed. You just select one at a time. And this is the overall program section. Zach or Warren, anything you'd like me to add that I had skipped over?
There was a active and passive to make gray and green.
Good call. Really important part of program building here in the RK controller. So for those that are familiar, and most of you are making a program passive, we see the completed change. Makes it gray. You see this mode here as passive. That just means the program can only be activated manually. It won't run in auto. It's a way to build seasonal programs in the RK controller. Thanks, Zach. Almost forgot. Once again, if that times out, just log back in. We see it's not synced. We've made some changes to our programs. Our final widget we'll review here is the history section. It's identical to the Java-based platform cycle manager, so we won't review here for too long. Just to review as we go down each of the possibilities with this controller, it shows the oldest information first. So a quick way to sort that would be right here. To refresh the data, it's always a good idea. So hit this refresh button to make sure you're seeing the most relevant data. We have the ability to drill down daily, hourly, or monthly. That's retained the same functionality as the Java-based platform. Here's our little CSV button, so we can export any of this data right to CSV, right to an Excel file if you need to report water usage, if you need to give a history of program status and what was run, you have the ability to do that here. IntelliSet, all related to ET. We have our ET adjusted with rain, ET actual rain, and then usable rain based on ET. This is all set at Cycle Manager. If anybody has more questions about how we set up weather-based programming or an ET-based program, we'd be happy to review that in a separate meeting. Moisture, we don't have any on this RKS Plus, and we will review different videos for the moisture advantaged customers here, but the basics view is the exact same as what's in Java. We have our overview. If you have multiple sensors, you could show it here. Details, and then like we said, we have a probe version for the little bit longer probes. Errand status, we'll review how to view that just very quickly here. We have our type. Value 1 is for the mode as we show here. Value 1 shows if we were in manual irrigation. Automatic irrigation is what was the first move, and then the value was second. So if I'm reading this across, the type was what was the mode first. First it was automatic irrigation, then it resulted in manual. So it's just, this is telling you what has been moved at the controller, what modes were changed. And we actually made these changes as you could see. We made those changes here when we were working with the controller, and it gives you the timestamp. We also have the alarm. The value here is the actual alarm itself. So we're showing we had an alarm, it's a station error, value 1, and that's the actual alarm. And then value 2 is the status. Is it on? Is it still active? That kind of thing. So this isn't really how we would recommend reviewing alarms, but this is a great way to see, I had a controller not irrigate, what happened? Were there any changes made on what could have happened there? Program is our next widget here, and it tracks pretty similarly to what you see in Cycle Manager Plus. Some of the information takes a moment to load if there's a lot of information in the widget, so just be a little bit patient with it. But we can see here, we use this a lot in our troubleshooting. Programs, start and end time, and water usage. So if you do have a flow meter and you do not see any water usage, or you see elevated water usage, it's a good way to indicate that you have a problem in a specific program. Once again, to review different navigation at this menu, see my start time, kick back on again. To navigate to a specific widget in this main wheel menu, we go to the program section, or in this menu. If I'd like to click out of it, the wheel has been moved. We'll click on that widget, take us right back. So that is the basic navigation. Now we're in stations. Move above, we'll go there. The history moves it to the right. We click back in. And that is pretty much the overview of Cycle Manager Plus. We have more to review as it relates to taking full advantage of Cycle Manager Plus, as it relates to setting up alarms, setting and reviewing moisture sensor information, as well as flow. That will be in a more advanced, detailed webinar, but we wanted to review the basics.